It's 10:29, and we are now beginning to record this session. It's all the cat's fault. The cat made me not record up to this point.
Let's do a small recap for the viewer.
Oh, for the people watching the video. Okay, we are now we're now carrying out the exercise I presented last week, in which we were going to put together a micro story world built around the idea of the classic Western barroom brawl. And we decided that there would be just two actors in this. Well, actually, we started off saying, let's have a lot of actors. And then I jumped all over that and said, you're going to suffer for that. And so I intimidated everybody down to 2 actors. And then we talked about various verbs and came up with a huge, long list of really great verbs. And I once again jumped all over everybody and said, you got to keep it simple because this is going to be a hairy mess. And so under the threat of my brutalizing, we cut it down to just 4 basic verbs, which are escalate. These are the direct objects, dramatically reasonable optional responses to the insult verb. So Black Bart insults Little Willie. Little Willie has these 4 options: escalate, de-escalate, run away, or ignore. Okay, and now we're going to decide how to do these. Now, we already established that each of the 4 is logically acceptable. There's no situation that would prevent Little Willie from using one of these 4 verbs. So now we're going to write the desirability equations for them. And to do that, we started talking about personality traits. And once again, we came up with huge, long lists of personality traits. I'll just run through some of the ones that have been presented by various people. Honorable, dishonorable, aggressive, submissive, calm, volatile, ascetic, hedonistic, fast, slow, along with moods: angry, fearful, aroused, disgusted, bored, engaged, happy, sad. And then also hat color, grumption, fear of God, hedonism, stress, might as in strength, speed, intuition, and charm. So that's our working personality model, all of those. And now we're going to start writing our desirability equations. So, oh wait, here's some more: bad, good, and lawful, chaotic. Okay, so, gee, where have I seen these things before? Anyway, so I'd like somebody to, put down an arithmetic expression, an equation, or actually just a single arithmetic expression that will yield a number, and that number will be the desirability of taking the first option, namely escalate. So in other words, the desirability of escalating is equal to this plus that multiplied by that, blah, blah, blah. So, and the thises and that's are all personality attributes of the direct object. So,
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a little trouble to understand what is the point of view of the player. If we make a story world like this, is the player the greenhorn? Is the player the bad guy? Or is the player a spectator that watches a movie unfold? What is the position of the user in this?
For the purposes of this exercise, there's no player. We are just doing it as an exercise in, you're going to have to do this in any story world with any real player, but you've got to be able to have the other non-player characters making decisions. And this is the essence of the decision making that the non-player character, you know, we might, for this case, we might say that the player is Black Bart. but we don't need to.
Okay, the point is so the non-playable characters have a decision. So the story world is better because they can interact with each other without the player input. That's why we are doing this.
Yes, because in a story world, the characters have got to be able to make decisions in response to what the player is doing. So, so if it's going to be, you know, x plus y multiplied by z times 4a or whatever, what are the x's and y's and z's? I'm sorry. This is Carlton, your doorman.
La porte à son chien.
Okay. Anybody want to, oh, wait, I missed.
We've got a submission from George.
I think I have a little error in there. I put
Wait a
fear
minute,
of God equals wallflower, which doesn't make any sense. I meant gumption. You know, I wanted the guy to have gumption, you know, positive assertiveness.
Okay. This is way wrong.
Yeah,
And
I know.
is it's not a number. It's a Boolean expression.
Yeah, it's Boolean.
Because you're going to have 4 of these options. And if you have 4 Booleans, you'll get some that are true. And then what do you do with the ones that are true? We've already established, I mean, if you want to have acceptability requirements, you put the Boolean expressions in there. But here we're discussing desirability. We're going to compare the 4 options against each other and say which is best.
Most desirable.
So each one, we got to come up with a number. And then we'll look at the numbers, and the one with the highest number is the one we're going to pick. So, okay, Colin has Grumption plus stress times hat color.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if that should apply for both escalate and de-escalate, though. Like, how do I figure that one out? Give me a minute before I justify my claim.
Okay, by the way, is hat color, is black like, I'm sorry, George?
Black hat's evil, white hat
Yeah,
is
that was good, bad. I just wanted to stay in the Western theme. I was just trying to really stay in Western world.
Is the same thing as bad, good. Okay.
Yes, it's bad, good.
Okay. So, and are we going to stay within the B number realm, or are we using natural numbers?
I'm thinking we should stay within the B number realm, if only just because let's learn to do it the way that you've sweat and bled to figure out how to do it. And then if we want to get creative, we can use integral expressions and Bayesian statistics and suffer on our own.
Yep. So, okay, yeah, for now, let's just keep it in the B number. So, okay, here's a verbs bad good score times bad good. What is a verbs bad good score?
Basically, the verbs score of how it like what it represents, because for us, if someone insults us, we know that it's an insult, but how it relates to the personality model in our simulation, how the verbs relate to those.
Are you saying that each verb has an intrinsic nastiness number, something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, since this is part of the verb, we can just plug in an actual number there, because it'll always be the same, you know, that this equation is always associated with the role and the verb. So that's not really a variable in this case, if you were doing other verbs, but for this.
Yes, it would be constant for this particular verb.
Every time escalate is called, this equation is used.
Okay, so verbs bad, good score. This would be a bad verb. So let's say minus 0.2.
What makes a good verb, a verb good or bad?
Yeah, that's
Context.
a good question. Let's see. Okay, George likes Collins. Grumption plus stress times bad, good. Bad, good of what?
Give me a minute.
Willie.
I'm trying to figure out how to do the 4, because originally I was just like, oh yeah, here's an equation. And I'm like, wait, that's wrong. You can't use one equation to count for all 4 options. Give me like 30 seconds here.
You're going to need a different equation for each of the 4 options.
Mm-hmm.
And they all interrelate. And so this is going to be very nasty. And in fact, this is one reason why I was saying, let's cut it down to 4 verbs. Imagine if you had 12 verbs and you had to write 12 of these equations, and each one had to work properly in relation to every other one. You know? This is why I have so little hair left. Okay? You do this, and for a long time, you won't have any hair left either. Okay? So keep that in mind. Let's see.
I can't come up with a number, sorry, not with a formula, but the way I would approach it, I can describe it if you want. How would I approach this kind of problem? There is something called utility functions in AI programming for games. So the way I would try to approach it is to sorry, I'm scrolling the chat. It's for escalate, de-escalate, runaway, and ignore. Try to come up with one number for each by plugging in how the verb affected this particular character and multiplying it by what kind of personality this character has. I know that's very vague, but perhaps someone can take it a step further.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You got to write it down as an equation. Let's look at Cullen has some stuff here. Escalate is hat color plus grumption plus stress, where the result is low. First, hat color of whom?
The greenhorn.
Oh, okay.
Willie. There we go.
And same thing with grumption and stress. These are all.
Yeah. Everybody is just Willie's internal state.
Okay. But wait, the first 2 are the same, but
The
you're
same
saying
formula, but one of them requires
Flip the sign. Right?
I'm sorry.
Negative if you did negative hat color minus gumption minus stress.
Okay. In the additive inverse. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Color plus or minus hat color minus.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, if you escalate if he's a bad guy that's really grumpy and is under high stress, or that crunches together to have a bad guy number, in which I think would be 1 in the negative side, and then you de-escalate if that formula generates a positive number. So, because I think the choice between escalation and de-escalation is pretty much can be condensed down to the result of a single equation.
Okay.
If you're really grumpy and you're really stressed and you're not a good person, or any combination of that results, then you would escalate.
Okay, okay.
There are points in Grumtion, like we have from -1 to +1. Maybe we could do a switch case where if below than 0, then blah blah blah. If 0 is equal 0, then nothing maybe, and if greater than 0, then another reaction. Like we would
No,
have to
no,
do, no,
no Boolean expressions. This is
No.
pure arithmetic. See, this, by the way, I want to point out something here. You've got programmers in general, and also games programmers have are really stuck on Boolean expressions. They tend to think in terms of Booleans. And most processes, here we go with object versus process, most processes are arithmetic in style, not Boolean. So if you want to be able to express processes, you've got to think in arithmetic terms, in terms of numbers. You know, is this bigger? You know, how big is this? Let's put a number on it.
Boolean, c'est oui, non?
And yeah, this is a fundamental shift in thinking, and you really just, what you need is, you know, a little angel sitting on your shoulder saying, no, 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 use a number, use a number. And because you just got to keep reminding yourself over and over again, use a number. So
how does that play into constraints? Like, I know in processes, you'll have some critical threshold where the process won't kick in until that number exceeds that. And so, you know, like somebody may not act in a heroic way unless they have heroism of at least this much.
let me review these two fundamental concepts. I perhaps brushed over them too quickly. For all of my technology, I have these two fundamental concepts: Boolean, numeric, acceptable, desirable. And so whenever you're evaluating something, first you evaluate the acceptability with a Boolean expression. If you get false for the Boolean expression, then you don't even consider the numeric. So first you do the logical exclusion, then you calculate a number that says how much we desire to do this. So that was a fundamental, actually major step forward in the way I thought through these problems. So you keep the two separate. And in my very first attempts, I mixed them together, and what I got was spaghetti. And so it's much easier to separate them and say, first we do the Boolean, then we do the numeric. So
okay, perfect.
If Willie's a good guy, does he even have the option to escalate? Is that is the hat color a Boolean?
Well, are people either good or bad? Is Darth Vader always bad? Is Princess Leia always good? Is Han Solo bad or good?
The rifleman never escalates.
Let's see.
He's always force, right?
Han Solo escalated in some cases.
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean-
Yeah, he did.
I mean, surely there is a point of you know, in a fight, like once a fight instigates, if they're the one, like they'll escalate in violence, you know, in the way that they behave. So I suppose like pre-fight, that may be the case. But sometimes in these stories, it's because the protagonist or whatever is going to be capable of inflicting extreme violence on, you know, some random townsperson who's had a bit too much to drink.
Then we're getting into the did Han shoot first?
Yes,
Yes,
he did.
yes.
End of conversation.
Yes, right.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is no. Yes. No, the gunfighter will escalate if when put in the face of injustice.
Well, there's a much more fundamental consideration here. If you write a story world that has story worlds in which people are either bad or good are for children only.
Mm-hmm.
In
Star Wars is for
real-
children.
Yes. Well, no, even Star Wars, Darth Vader at the very end, you know. Well, he isn't totally bad, is he? The Emperor is totally bad all the way through. But, I mean, or Luke Skywalker, at the very end, Darth Vader is taunting him, and all of a sudden Luke explodes, and I'm bad, I'm gonna cut you down. So is he a good guy or a bad guy? The whole point of stories is that in the real world, or I'm sorry, in the dramatic world, people do undergo, under stress, will do things they wouldn't normally do. You know, there are a lot of these. That's what makes stories interesting. So don't get into the black and white view of human beings.
Get out of the Boolean thinking.
Yes, once again, no Boolean thinking. That's what makes games easy when we had 8-bit microprocessors running at 1 megahertz. But, you know, we can do a lot more number crunching now, and our minds are still in the 8-bit age. So time to crunch those numbers.
Considering constraints, in a story, like you say, Luke Skywalker begins as maybe a good, like on agreeableness from 0 to 10, maybe he's very agreeable, 7 out of 10. And during the story, because he has a lot of events, maybe he is going to 5 out of 10. But it's a progression, and he has an arc, a story arc.
Yep.
So maybe the constraint in our stories should be story arcs that you can't get away of. It's like fate. Do you have fate in a story world? Or do you have only a pure randomness without any logical?
Well, fate is the representative of the storyteller. That is your representative as the creator.
The fate is that Bart will insult Willie, right? That's the role of fate here?
Well, yeah, that's the initiating event. So you just start off the story world with that. But let me point out that in all good stories, characters have variability. There is the long character arc. Luke Skywalker starts off as a kid, and he's, you know, unsure and very agreeable and wide-eyed and so forth. At the end of the thing, he's very sure of himself. You know, he does what's necessary. He tells the girl, whatever her name is, he you know, just tells her this is the way things are. At one point, he decided he was going to kill, you know, his student. You know, the characters change. In Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen starts off as this sweet, innocent little girl who gets raped a lot, you know, and later on, she's this monster murdering thousands of people. Now, that's long-term character arc, but even within any given character, you'll see variability. That's what makes it interesting. So, in fact, what I'm going to do here is dump this on you, but I'm going to simplify it. You've got a homework assignment, and I expect you all to turn up next week after having completed this assignment with no hair left. And the assignment will be to write the desirability equations or expressions for those 4 options: escalate, de-escalate, run away, and ignore. And you can create whatever personality model you want for your equations. This will be within B numbers, and so in a B number universe. And so for each personality trait, you have to specify something like this. There. You have to specify your personality trait so that you know what those numbers actually mean, okay? And then you write down your equations. I'm not going to ask you to, I don't know. We could just restrict you to the blend operator. Or is that just pushing you too hard? What do you think? You willing to take on blend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pardon?
Yeah, why not?
Because in fact, I'll tell you, if you just use regular arithmetic with bounded numbers, you'll fail. Your numbers will go out of bounds. Yeah, I'm going to ask you to use the blend operator. It is described. There's also a nice video on YouTube. I will dig out the thing right now. And where
Yeah,
are
I was looking at that earlier. I think it's called Lesson 2,
Yeah, lesson
where you have a
2.
yellow background behind you.
Let me just look here.
And I meant to ask why like a blend or a bound rather than a clamp?
There it is. Okay. Okay, I've got it. Here's the URL. And I believe that's the one that explains the, let me have a quick look. Yeah, it talks about personality models. Wait, there we go. And bad, good. Yeah, you should definitely.
Oh, that's mine.
Yes, there it is. So use the blend operator and write down an expression. You can have multiple blends, but it's, I don't know, you could have it just as a single blend, or you can have a blend nested inside another blend, whatever. So define your personality model and write your expressions for the desirability of each of the 4 options for Little Willie. That's all. You guys are gonna hate me because I will tell you, this is really tough stuff. This is where you spend most of your life working on story worlds, and this is just one reaction to one verb, and in a real story world, you're going to have at least 100 verbs. So this is going to be really the purpose of this exercise is to frustrate you, to give you a sense of just how tough these problems are. So I really don't expect anybody to come up with a really good set of solutions, but I'm hopeful that, I don't know, maybe somebody will come up with some good stuff. But for the most part, I expect you to come back next week saying, "Oh God, this is hell." So anyway, any last questions about this?
I was gonna. Do you want to go ahead?
Oh, I thought of a solution, but it's also kind of what you set out for homework, so I don't know if I should say it. I posted it, but
Well, oh, I see what you're saying. Well, those won't work in a bounded number system.
oh, I notated it weirdly, but it's bounded numbers.
Okay. Well, see, when you multiply bounded numbers, you can get really weird results because they're all absolute value less than 1. And that can, for example, let's take your first case, fearful, angry times weak, strong. And wait a minute, I don't understand.
Oh, I
If the
guess.
result is
do-
less than 0, you run away, and if it's greater than 0, you escalate.
Yeah, so basically you do the bounded number system on each of these three, and whichever bounded number gives you the most extreme number, or to put it arithmetically, whichever number is higher after an absolute value operation, then you choose that option and that associated verb.
Well, what I'll suggest is you walk through that with numbers. And I think what you'll find, again, the final test is going to be that you will get you'll have 4 verbs, and each verb will have something that yields a numeric result, and you're going to pick the highest numeric result. This idea, what you're presenting, is some Boolean logic thrown on top of some numbers, and that's fine in one case, but it's not a general solution.
It's not.
So
Also,
Yeah, what if
you've got
2 things are true in that one, you know?
yeah.
What
someone
if you
who's-
said
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
Go
ahead,
for
Colin.
it. Oh, just someone who's fearful and weak will have a negative times a negative, which creates a positive.
That's why I had the absolute value in there, though. That's why I wanted to take back my comment.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So my question was related to that. So regarding the escalation and de-escalation, is there a reason why we're using 2 separate entities with absolute numbers? Is that the reason to counteract that? Why wouldn't you do from like -1 to 1 in terms of like a spectrum for your form?
Oh, sorry. At least in what I was showing and what I came up with, it is between -1 and 1.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I think it would be better showed. I was thinking multiplication, but yeah, putting it as bounded numbers. It is bounded numbers. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Okay. Anyway, it's 2.
Yeah, go through that and make sure I think you'll find some, well, as is, it doesn't work because it tacks Boolean logic on top of the numeric, and you need to have it set so that you simply get the highest numeric value for the best option.
Yeah.
So, you follow me?
Here's another idea.
Okay, good.
This has to do with
Any other questions?
you put a bread in the
Well, good
freezer.
luck with this, and
You're almost
don't
out.
feel too bad if this proves to be immensely difficult, because it is. And that's the real point of this lesson, just how difficult this stuff can be. The good news is, after a while, you really do develop a feel for it, and it gets to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird at first, so. Okay, then. Oh,
Thank you,
yes.
Chris.
Wait, Lorenzo?
Did you have the opportunity to check? Send you an email with.
Wait, I'm getting noise from somebody.
Yeah, someone is watching TV or something.
Yeah, I'm hearing a voice in the background of somebody, and I can't hear you clearly, Lorenzo.
Yep, it's been okay.
Is it Timothy?
Yeah.
Do you hear me okay?
Chris, you can right-click his portrait and
Yeah.
mute him.
There,
Yeah.
I muted him. Okay.
So what I mean is, do you hear me all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I sent you an email with a book exercise from other class, online class.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. Did you have the opportunity to check it out and to?
I looked at it very briefly. I got interrupted, and so I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't follow. I should have
No,
followed up.
it's not important, but it's just the idea is it was Will Wright a class online, the guy who made The Sims and games like that, and he made some kind of he had a very different approach during his class, and he had some exercises, but it was about game design. So I just wanted to show the PDF to you, so maybe you have some ideas who can come from this kind of,
Okay, yeah.
material.
Thanks for reminding me.
I don't
I was
know.
interrupted and then I forgot, and
Yeah,
I need to go back and look at it.
but yeah, just that, and yeah, I think it's cool so that we all had a week to think about this challenge, and so we can try to put our mind on one specific problem and try hard, and
Yeah.
it's nice change in the rhythm of the class, I think.
Yeah, well, this is definitely an example. The American expression is where the rubber hits the road. So, good luck with it. This is the core problem you struggle with in interactive storytelling. So, good luck, and I'll see you next week.
Chris, one thing. The survey. Are you still working on that? Has that been
Yes.
dropped? Okay.
Yvonne is working on the code, and surprise, surprise, there are some problems in
Okay.
software. Can you believe that?
I believe it.
So,
Okay.
this is, we're asking a lot of him here, and so he can do it on his own schedule.
Yeah, I had missed last week, so I just wanted to, I was just thinking about it before class today, so I was like, oh, I should ask that.
Yeah, well,
Awesome.
we've nailed down the design of the user interface. Basically, at this point, it's just a matter of him writing the code for the web user interface. And then once we start getting that, once he's got that nailed down, then I can start writing the analysis software, which is a huge number crunching thing. But fortunately, we can wait while we are collecting the data for me to write that code. So,
good stuff.
Okay, I'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.